Hey guys, we're going to get into chapter 5 now. Chapter 5 is all about the legislative branch. Think about the other chapters that we've covered, the foundations, the American Revolution, and other foundational documents, the Articles of Confederation. Chapter 3 was all about the Constitution. Chapter 4 is about the idea of federalism. Now we're going to be getting into the branches of government. And the first branch we're going to look at is the legislative branch. So let's just go on and jump right in. Congress. We know that Congress is the representative body through which laws are made. We the people, pick our representatives. So these laws represent our will. It represents the will of the people. Congressmen and senators, they represent us. We are called constituents. We are the voters in the district that elected them. Now, the job of a congressman is not to do just what's in the best interest of his or her own district. They also have to balance it with what's best for their country as a whole. What's best for us as a nation. Now, when you look at some characteristics of these members of Congress, you will see that we're going to look at tendencies, generalizations. They tend to be older. They tend to be wealthier. More of them have been men. And more of them have been white men. Over the years, though, especially the past 10 or 20 years, Congress has become more representative. They become more diverse, more religions represented, more ethnicities represented. But if you were to look back at the history of Congress, they were older white men. And that's changed, though, for the better. The structure of Congress. This should be a review. We've talked about this with chapter 3, and you've learned about this in previous classes. Congress is a bicameral legislature. Bicameral means two houses. There's a House of Representatives, and then there's the Senate. The House of Representatives has 435 members. Now, the Constitution doesn't set that number. It was a law that was passed in 1929 that said the House of Representatives, we're going to set that number at 435. And each state gets a portion of those 435 based on their population. We know the House is based on population. Well, what happens if, one state grows? Do we just add 436 or 437? No. What we do is every 10 years, through the census, we take those 435 seats and re-divvy them up. So Missouri right now has 8 members in the House. We could go to 9, or we could theoretically drop down to 7 based on how much our population has grown or shrunk compared with other states. If other states have grown faster than us and they have more people, well, they're going to get another congressman. And that new congressman has to come from somewhere else. And it's going to come from another state that didn't grow as much. So that's how the numbers are apportioned. We know members of Congress are a 2-year term. There are no term limits. So every 2 years, they are up for re-election. In the upper house, the Senate, there's 100 members. Each state gets 2, regardless of the population. So Wyoming, with about 700,000 people, they get 2 senators. California, with a couple dozen million people, get 2. And senators serve 6-year terms. And once again, there are no term limits for senators. This is just a chart that shows representation for some different states based on population. Now you see on the right, senators, they're equal. But in the House, it's based on population. So you look at the House, or the population of the state, and the larger the population, the more members in the House they're going to have. Now, this is based in 2009. After 2010, we had a census, and now in 2020, we just finished up the census, and we should know in a few months how many House members each state is going to receive based on the census from 2020. This link right here is just a website that talks about how things could change after 2020. We just had this election, which was a big change. Now, with the census, the 2020 census, things can change a lot. And this article just talks about the possible things that could happen. Now, we know the Virginia plan, whenever they were creating the Constitution, had a unicameral legislature, and it was all based on population. We came up with the bicameral legislature. We didn't come up with it. We decided on a bicameral legislation, and that combined the New Jersey plan and the Virginia plan. It split the difference. With the bicameral system, the Virginia plan was based on population. Our Constitution is based on population. The New Jersey plan had equal representation. Well, in the Senate, we have equal representation among the states. So we just kind of combined everything to come up with this structure. Congress has powers, and we're going to be looking at that. And we're going to be looking at, in Section 2, all the different powers that they have. What can they do? But today, we're just going to be looking at general overviews. Like, number one, the power of the purse. Congress has the power to appropriate or spend money. If they don't want to, they can, or if they want to, they can reduce or they can deny a request from the president. The president says, I want money to spend on this. Congress can say, nope, we're not going to do it. Congress goes, I need $20 billion so I can carry out this policy that I really want to do. Congress can say, nope, we are not going to appropriate that money. So they can, it's a check in a sense. The Senate has the power of advice and consent. Any treaty that the president negotiates doesn't automatically become law. It has to be approved by the Senate. The president just can't pick anybody to be attorney general or anybody to be a Supreme Court justice. The Senate has to say, yes, we approve. We give our advice and our consent. And so if they don't want a particular person, or if they believe this particular person would not be good at their job, they vote no. They reject the president's nominee. So they have the power of the purse, the power of advice and consent. They have the power to impeach. If you remember last year, President Trump was impeached. Now, we know this is rarely used. And something else is that it just doesn't have to be the president. Any official can be impeached. A Supreme Court justice can be impeached and convicted. Now, it can't just be for any reason. We can't just say, we don't like the decision that this judge made, and so we want to impeach him. No, it's treason, bribery, and other, quote, high crimes and misdemeanors. So Congress has the impeachment power to make sure that one branch isn't abusing its power. There's other checks and balances. Congress has the power to start amending the Constitution. They can propose constitutional amendments and then send it to the states. Congress, if they pass a bill and the president vetoes it, they can override his veto with a 2/3 vote. And Congress has oversight, which means oversight. Think about that phrase, oversight. They can look over and see what the executive branch is doing. The executive branch has all these programs and policies and departments, while Congress has the power to check in on them and to make sure that the policies are being carried out lawfully. And so the different committees in Congress, they have meetings and they bring in members of the executive branch to explain what's going on. That's oversight, to make sure that the executive branch is doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's it for section 1. It's a lot, but it's pretty easy or basic information that we've learned before and we've talked about, especially with chapter 3 in the Constitution. That's all I have. Until next time, talk to you later.